The first quarter moon is on June 7th. That's the halfway point between the dark moon and the full moon. The moon is filling with light, so we're ramping up whatever groundwork was laid during the dark moon in Gemini on May 30th. Also, we have a lot of dignified planets right now, this week. Functioning well. If the planets are like characters, they're able to do their thing. They're like in their element. Saturn in Aquarius. Which side of the wall are you on? Did you land on? Which side of the chasm? The world's various chasms do you land on? Pro tip, all the chasms on the surface are meant to distract you from the real things that divide us. What I mean by that is like, if Aquarius is the collective, and one thing that Saturn does is divide, there are all these issues that divide us. When someone holds a belief that you don't believe in, or if you think someone is wrong, consider, actually sit with the idea that this person actually believes this truly. There are definitely varying degrees, but if you give everyone the benefit of the doubt, they really truly believe this. And then most spiritual traditions regard us as different extrusions of the same consciousness, like the same all one consciousness. So if the other person believes stuff truly, and the other person is basically you, just like living another version of the experience of living in a human body event. Your body's an event, basically, on Earth. If they're you doing that just in a different way, then so there's like a division between you and them, like in regards to whatever the issue is. But you can put a division between you and your bullshit and recognize that someone else actually believes whatever it is that you don't agree with. And an ability to find common ground is something that brings us all together. Because if what Saturn does is divide, and Aquarius, one of the things that Aquarius represents, exile, another thing that Aquarius represents, the collective, everyone. Like if you go up in a plane and look at all the humans, we're all humans. We are the collective. We are all here on Earth, living in bodies, falling through time. That's not my terminology. I got that from when I went to see Duncan Trussell do stand-up one time. I can't get it out of my head. We're living in human bodies falling through time. Anyway, if Aquarius is exile and it is also the collective, then if we realize that we're all humans and everybody believes different stuff and we need to find a way to live together rather than cutting people out of our lives because they believe something different or arguing with them. I mean, one thing you do if you want to control people is create various binaries for them to argue about. Like if I wanted to control people, that's what I would do. And this is why Saturn, I think, is one reason why Saturn is exalted in Libra. Because there is an acknowledgement of like the one-on-one relationship, the Saturn in Libra. A key word for Saturn in Libra, namaste. And I don't mean that in like the commercial American fitness yoga way. I mean that in what it actually means, which is the light in me recognizes the light in you. And there's a respect that has to happen when you come to terms with the fact that someone who truly believes something that you don't believe is also you. They deserve the same type of respect that you believe you deserve. Rightly so. Okay, so that was a diatribe on Saturn and Aquarius. So on June 10th, Mercury trines Pluto again. Mercury trined Pluto on May 25th and on April 27th. So on April 27th, Mercury was direct in Taurus, trining Pluto, and on May 25th, it was retrograde in Taurus, trining Pluto in Capricorn. What is being mined for value? Pluto in an earth sign, Mercury, which has been retrograde. There are themes of depth, themes of value and power. What is being mined for value so that power can be had or kept or wrested, like taken away, WRESTED? What can you mine for value, and what are you being mined for? We're all being mined for value by the power structure, by the way. If you use free email, if you use social media, these things, when they're free, you're the product. The fact that the value of social media is a lie. I'm just going to say that. I know that lots of people enjoy it, but people led rich lives before it. And it's just mining your data so it can create a nudgeable digital twin of you. Like an algorithm version of you that it can then feed different content. I'm really on a tear this week. Anyway, Mercury trine Pluto. Mercury is direct. It's like looking behind the scenes. We looked behind the scenes on April 27th as sort of like a prologue. We looked behind the scenes May 25th, but it was like behind the scenes and under the hood. And now we're looking behind the scenes again. Like, we're paying attention to the man behind the curtain. Hang on. So yeah, Mercury trine Pluto. Here, it's like a push notification saying you are being mined for resources. Your precious human essence is being harvested by the technocracy. Okay. And including your consumption of the video you're watching right now. On June 11th, the next day, Venus conjoins Uranus. So a disruption of Venus things, whether that's like a sudden influx of Venus things or a sudden, breaking of Venus things, sudden symbiosis or sudden pulling apart. Since it's Venus in a Venus-ruled sign, Uranus can be like kind of extremely Marsy in the way that it like forks the timeline, like cuts off in the way that Uranus decides. Venus conjoining Uranus could just as easily bring like a sudden influx of something enjoyable, or suddenly you enjoy something that you're doing already because it's in a fixed sign, the fixed sign of Taurus. Finding sudden enjoyment in something that you're maintaining. Sudden enjoyment of stuff that other people or beings made. Some sort of innovation around an experience of luxury. I think of like, okay, Venus in Taurus conjoining Uranus is like a bull market for Beyond Meat. That's just like a bunch of relevant topics all on top of each other, like put into a delicious cheeseburger of Venus and Taurus concepts all of a sudden. Keep an eye on overindulgence during this time because Venus is going to square Saturn on June 18th. So if you take on something that's kind of long-term, or you choose to like suddenly begin to start maintaining something, you might find yourself challenged when Venus squares Saturn June 18th. So keep an eye on that. Hoarding luxuries or hoarding a commitment to experience luxury. Keep in mind, if you commit to something, your commitment will be tested by Saturn. Saturn will test you. But June 11th, Venus conjoining Uranus. The nodal axis is here, and we just had the eclipses, so this speaks to the changes that are happening, the process of change that goes from this past January of 2022 for approximately 18 months or so. So stuff that happens in Scorpio and Taurus is going to speak to that process in various ways, like stuff besides the eclipses. With Venus connecting Uranus and Taurus, I think of things like, Uranus and Taurus is going to bring on new things to maintain. It's going to break things that you were maintaining. When it's Venus, it's ruled by Venus, and Venus is here conjoining Uranus. Change can feel like a betrayal. When something comes in or is taken away that's so wildly different from what you expect to maintain. So Venus conjoining Uranus, good. It could be something suddenly good, amazing. It could be something suddenly that doesn't feel great because it's different. It's a good time to try like a new style of lovemaking. Do something weird if you have a partner, or you have a creative practice, or you have an art appreciation habit. Do something weird, make it exciting. With Venus in Taurus conjoining Uranus in Taurus, I think of just, it could be good. It could be a sudden boon. It could be a sudden loss. I think of what day traders look for. They don't look for like the prices to go up. And, sometimes they can make money if the prices go down. So what they really keep an eye on is price action. And this looks like price action to me. There's been a lot of price action lately, so maybe it'll be like unexpectedly still. I'm not making market predictions here, but I'm saying whatever unexpectedness, day traders profit from price action. So how can you profit from the action, the price action? How can you derive enjoyment, extract wealth, mine value, as I was talking about earlier, from the aspect that happens the day before? It's all price action, whether it goes up or down. You can find a way to experience it as valuable. Again, easier said than done. I know like something will probably happen in my life that will be like, I'm having difficulty experiencing this as valuable. And then June 13th, Mercury enters Gemini. Again, Mercury last entered Gemini on May 9th. And then it went back into Taurus whatever you were like excited to, or enthusiastic about moving forward with, curious, things that you were curious about. Eclipse season themes that occurred April 29th through late May, things you might have been curious about can now begin to move forward. Or you can kind of like maybe see what that was about more. It was just like dipping a toe into Gemini real quick and then pulling back out. But so Mercury and Gemini, sending and receiving now works. As you can tell, I don't have Mercury and Gemini natally. You can turn your thoughts into accurate representations of your thoughts. You can do things really fast. You can learn things really fast. When you overlay parts of the body onto the zodiac, it's not like to be woo and like for whatever reason. It's because those parts of the body encompass what that zodiac sign is about. Gemini is said to preside over or be associated with the hands. So your hands they're two things, but they're also one thing. They're your hands. So there's one thing about how Gemini is two things. Also, the hands send and receive. You can type DMs. You can pass a note if you live several decades ago. You can do sign language or gestures. You can feel things and get a sense of texture and understand what things are. So you can send and receive with your hands. And that's what Gemini is about. So it's a time if you need to do anything technical, if you need to do writing, you can do that. So we had the dark moon in Gemini on May 30th, and the sun is in Gemini, and Mercury is moving back into Gemini after a brief retrograde stint in Gemini a few weeks ago. Keep an eye on the themes that come up during this time. The sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, things that may have come up around the dark moon in Gemini. That stuff is going to come back up or be evoked in some way when Mars enters Gemini and remains there. So Mars enters Gemini in August and remains in Gemini until next year because Mars is going retrograde in Gemini. That's a major signature of the second part of this year that we're starting to get a sense of right now. So if you pay attention to that stuff, whatever's going on in the Gemini part of your chart, you can begin to prepare for Mars in Gemini. And also the full moon in Gemini, which will be in December. Whatever groundwork you laid, whatever thought forms you began to call in, whatever information you began to call in around the dark moon in Gemini, May 30th, can come to fruition or reach a culmination during the full moon in Gemini in December. And the Mars retrograde will be happening during that time. On June 14th, we have the full moon in Sagittarius, whilst Mercury is also in Gemini. But I'll talk about that next time. Think about things you might have began during the dark moon in Sagittarius, which was an eclipse back in November. The Gemini Sagittarius axis pertains to ways of knowing. That's it.